All right. Welcome to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. As always, I'm G, and I'm joined by the Chocobros, Eric and Dash. How are you guys doing tonight?
What up, what up, what up?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe wherever you go ahead and get your podcast. We appreciate you guys going ahead and checking us out. As always, we're going to go ahead and start the episode off with a little bit of what are you playing. It's going to be a little bit lighter of a week for us on this front. Just obviously life happens, and sometimes you don't play as many video games every week. But we do have a pretty good amount of news to talk about, fun things that are going on, and some really positive news on one front. So definitely excited to get to that because, as we know, it has not always been super positive, especially I'd say over the last 18 months in terms of game closures, layoffs, all those kinds of things. So I will go ahead and I'll kick us off in terms of what are you playing this week. So this week I finished Stellar Blade. I really enjoyed it. It is very, very hard. The game gets progressively harder as you continue to go further and further into the game. I will say that the combat it is so parry intensive, especially as you do go ahead and get to some of these final bosses. I actually had to lower the difficulty because I'm a pussy. And no, I had to lower it because it just got impossible, basically. And when you do go ahead and lower the difficulty in the game, it provides some additional resources for you to be able to go ahead and make the game a little bit easier. And overall, had a lot of fun. The story had a kind of predictable turn at the end. It was fun. I honestly enjoyed it. Solid 7 out of 10 game to me. Probably wouldn't spend $60, $70 on it, but for a $40 game, easy recommend. In addition, played a bit more Rocket League, getting my bearings back a little bit, still sucking pretty bad, but trying to get back to where I was. Played a bit more college football. Again, just kind of more of the same on that front. Started a new dynasty with Jacksonville State. They are awful. Trying to rebuild these schools into some really good programs, and that's a difficult thing to do. And a game that I really want to talk about, which I played, and I am so close to finishing, Metal Gear Solid 4. I am so close. When we talk next week, I will be finally done, and I'm just going to go out on a limb, and I am going to say, even without knowing the complete ending of this game, Metal Gear Solid 4 is the best Metal Gear Solid game, period. It is shaping up to be one of my top 10 games all time. Did not think I was going to like it this much going in. I have enjoyed the story. It is a perfect encapsulation of games 1, 2, and 3 with returning characters from all three games. It takes all the wackiness and craziness that we know from, Kojima in these games, slathered with this, nice shiny coat of paint. It's the best looking Metal Gear game, obviously aside from Metal Gear 5. But it is, story-wise, David Hayter, this is him at his peak. Just, I absolutely have loved this game, and I can't wait to finish. So we are very, very close. We will probably go ahead and get there, like I said, sometime this week, and I'm excited to finally get to the end, get to see the end of Snake's journey. And I'll be starting Liza P this week on a fresh new playthrough, which I'm very stoked about. Also pre-ordered Star Wars Outlaws today, so excited to get to play that here in a few weeks because it's coming out in 2 weeks. It's coming really fast. Which is crazy because that means we're getting closer to the fall, we're getting closer to the end of the year, and also closer to all of us getting to hang out together in a few months, which is very exciting. Dash, I'll pass it on to you, man. What are you playing this week?
So a little bit of the college football for the online league. Didn't have to play against another player yet, but managed to get at least one of my linemen got defensive player of the week for Big Ten, so I didn't expect that to happen. But going forward, did quite a bit of Final Fantasy X, so continue where I did all the calm lands and got my way through Mount Gagazet. Gagazet. Did a bunch of the side shit, so I did all the Chocobo training and racing and stuff, so I got the 0.0 timer for the Chocobo racing.
It's not as hard as people make it out
Yeah.
to be.
The cloudy mirror, I got that taken care of. Went back, did the 200 lightning strikes for the Thunder Plains. Did all the creature capturing I could do for like all the areas that were available to me at that moment. Let's see. Finished it off like literally right before this call. Did the dreaded Seymour Flux boss fight. So managed to do it in one attempt. I'm proud of that. I'm not sure. I mean, besides like the Dark Aeons, I think that's probably one of the hardest fight in the game.
Definitely.
But that's pretty much it for Final Fantasy X. I'm still holding off on the Blitzball. I'm probably gonna wait until I get the airship, and I'm gonna go on my recruitment spree at that point and get like just the best of the best. We'll have like our whole MacGruber recruitment montage as I'm going around getting all the best players for my team. Let's see. I shout out to K-Med on Twitter because I entered in a little giveaway for the excavation of Hobbs Barrow, and I actually fully completed that over the weekend. So that actually featured our very own Sam Bayart, as we've had previously on the podcast.
Yeah.
So this is little pixel point and click adventure kind of game with some folk horror, maybe even Lovecraftian type horror to it. There's not like anything really. It's atmospheric horror, right? It's not jump scares or anything like that. I mean, it's a pixel game, so there's only so much you can do with it horror-wise, but there are like these very detailed pixel like close-ups of faces and stuff like that, and really impressed with how they animated some of those faces when they did do those moments. But it was like a good 6-7 hour experience. Most of it was pretty straightforward, but there were some moments where I actually had to look up a guide because I was just completely lost at that point. It was just something like, oh yeah, there's this small little object you can barely tell is there on the table that you're supposed to interact with. So most of the time it's not really surprising what items you need to use with what objects, but I mean, it takes me back to like those good old days of playing like Monkey Island, or if you as a child, Putt Putt, Freddy the Fish kind of games, so that it was just I don't really play those kind of games often, so it was definitely nice to kind of revisit that genre.
Yeah.
Lately I've been on a Pokemon kick also, so dusted off the Switch. I subscribed to the Nintendo Online service, which I haven't done in like quite a number of years now, and I actually am impressed with the amount of stuff they've added to it now with the virtual consoles now. So when I last subscribed, it was only the NES they had, so now it has the SNES, Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, which was kind of a surprise. I think that's a newer one.
Yeah.
Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. So primarily I just booted up the N64 and I was playing Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Stadium. So just so many classics. And they got all the Mario, like the first 3 Mario Party games in there. They got Paper Mario. Surprised on the Game Boy Advance section, they didn't have like any of like those like Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 Pokemon games.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
surprising.
Could be a missed opportunity, but then again, I guess I kind of understand because they probably want to milk that. Pokemon, the Pokemon spin-offs, they're kind of better with, but like the mainline Pokemon games, of course, they always have to build it around. You have to buy both versions of the game if you want to, complete the Pokédex. Which, speaking of Pokemon, I did boot up my Game Boy emulator, and I downloaded a hack ROM of Pokemon Yellow that includes all 151 Pokemon that you don't have to trade to catch them all, including Mew, which, little trivia fact about Mew is that you can't catch Mew in the game. The only way that you could have gotten Mew was if you went to like one of the very few events that they did here in North America, and then they transfer Mew into your cartridge, which those cartridges have a battery life, so the number of legit Mews out there is going to be slowly dwindling as the years go on.
That's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I love like the early gen of Pokemon games where, I mean, Pokemon was great as a handheld franchise, I believe, but then like kind of like when they went to like the actual home console, obviously, I feel like they're not, for the amount of money Pokemon makes, I don't think they put that much effort into it. Because like I'm playing Pokemon Stadium and I'm still impressed with the amount of work that
Pokemon Stadium bang.
Yeah, and Pokemon Stadium 2 was
Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, like they were really good about these variety games back then, and there was just a lot to choose from. And now, I mean, you've really got like the mainline games for 3DS, and then you've got like Arceus. I think was the most recent Switch title. So
actually it was Scarlet and Violet. I haven't played that one yet. The last one I actually played was Sword and Shield Generation, which I didn't even do the DLC. The only thing I don't like about it is like stuff kind of gets time gated in for Pokemon nowadays, where it's like you have to participate in an event if you want a specific Pokemon. So you might have a gap in your Pokédex, and I know the whole purpose of this is obviously they encourage community and trading and stuff like that. But like for older Pokemon games, there's like it might be impossible to like complete a Pokédex legitimately unless
without
you
a hack ROM.
Yeah, so that's why I'm doing the Pokemon Yellow hack ROM where it has all 151, because I just want to be able to experience what it's like to catch all 151 Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's been my week.
Awesome. And Eric, did you even have time to game at all this week?
I played a couple rounds of Valorant, and that was pretty much it. Like I was gone most of the week, and then the rest of that I had to hammer out some stuff for work to make sure I was good.
We had Mr. New York here, just
did get to go to a Yankees game. Had soup dumplings for the first time. Had some New York City pizza. Hot take: New York City pizza, same pizza as everywhere else, basically that I've been. Nothing crazy about it.
No, you can get New York pizza in places. Yeah,
the soup dumplings were fire.
Absolutely,
Chinatown was fucking awesome.
Hell yeah!
No, it was great. It was a great time.
Awesome.
So, I'll get back in the swing of things this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like we said, life gets in the way sometimes, and priorities, right? So we've got a few things to talk about tonight. Let's go ahead and let's start with some really cool news. I don't know if we've ever mentioned it on the show. Obviously, we reach out to prospective guests all the time, seeing if they want to go ahead and join the show. Once upon a time, we reached out to the master of horror himself, John Carpenter. Mr. Carpenter politely declined, but we did actually get a response, which is not always the case. And
he called us dorks.
let me preface.
That's not true.
He did not. No. And let me preface this by saying we're not owed a response from anyone. This is obviously we do this because we love it. We don't want to pressure anyone ever to thinking like they're obligated into coming on. But it is always cool when we do get a response, even if it's a no, just because we're getting a response from, the office of John Carpenter in this case. So he politely declined. But obviously the reason we've reached out is because John Carpenter is a huge gamer, which is kind of crazy. But he is obviously involved right now in the making of another game. But the reason that we're talking about him right now is because there is a Halloween game on the way, which in itself is very cool. And then also he is going to be directly involved, which is also very cool. Because, again, we're talking about the Master of Horror here. We're talking about a horror IP that really has never utilized gaming as kind of a means to expand it. Yeah, but, I mean, that's not a Halloween game, though. And let me start by saying I hope that this isn't like a Dead by Daylight Friday the 13th style game. Like, let's get a narrative.
Asymmetric horror games. We've done it for Friday the 13th. We've done it for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We don't need it for Halloween.
Let's get a true horror narrative focused Halloween game. You are, a survivor trying to get away from Michael Myers. That would be dope. But this is on the way. Obviously, there'll probably be more to come. We're getting into Halloween right now, so we're probably going to continue to get more information, especially just over the next few months. but something very exciting that, we're looking forward to. Big fan of Jaren Carpenter here. So, in addition, very positive news, and this is kind of to segue from some of our more difficult conversations we've had earlier in the year, and this is surrounding Tango Gameworks and their closure. Tango Gameworks is being revived, which is so awesome. Again, this is the studio that's responsible for Hi-Fi Rush. They released a statement. Microsoft actually released a statement just, to kind of corroborate that, yes, they are actually selling the studio to a new studio as opposed to just closing it up. This is fantastic news for devs. This is fantastic news for gamers. This should always be something that we're looking to do as opposed to looking to close the studio. Because honestly, I would assume that most companies would look to purchase a studio if they knew it was available, as opposed to having it close like this. I'm assuming Microsoft probably did not want to sell the Hi-Fi Rush team over to PlayStation or to, Nintendo. So it did end up going to a third party in this instance. But again, Tango Gameworks lives. This is a win for everybody.
Call an ambulance, but not for them.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So definitely some great news. And I mentioned this kind of at the top of the show. It's been a shitty year for devs, for actors, for just really everybody who kind of works in gaming. So this is a bright light. This is always something we want to be able to go ahead and highlight because it shouldn't be doom and gloom always. Otherwise, what's the point? So, in addition, we also got our first look at Space Marine 2, 40K Warhammer. As someone who has never played one of these games, this looks fucking awesome. Like, I've only seen little bits of gameplay, and it kind of, tickles my brain the same way, like the first time when I saw Helldivers gameplay, I was like, oh man, this looks really fun. Not to say that it necessarily looks exactly like Helldivers, but just it is something a little different, and it's something that just looks like it would be just a blast. You guys are a little bit more familiar with 40K. Did you guys have a chance to go ahead and take a look? And if so, what were your impressions?
It looks sick.
This is going to be probably the best 40K game we've ever gotten. And that title's probably been held by the Dawn of War games before then. Mm-hmm. Specifically Dawn of War 1. I'm not going to give too much credit to Dawn of War 2, especially not Dawn of War 3. But, yeah, I mean, this captures everything I would expect it to. If you ever played the first Space Marine, it takes everything that game did and just does it better and bigger and badder, which is pretty much the whole mantra of Warhammer 40K when it comes down to it. You got a 3-player co-op campaign, which we didn't have in Space Marine, so that's going to make it probably a lot more replayable because you'll be able to play with your friends instead of having to play solo. The gameplay itself looks awesome. You have a bunch of different modes that's going to come with, so you have like a PvE mode, kind of like you're doing missions with your friends, and apparently it's going to work like conjunctly with the campaign, so you'll something that happens in the campaign might be referenced in the mission, or even something you're doing in the mission is going to affect what happens in the campaign. But then there's the PvP mode, which is going to be awesome. And of course, who doesn't love customizing their Space Marine armor? And it looks like we're going to get quite a bit of options for that. So Definitely looking forward to that. I know when it comes to 40K games, for whatever reason, Workshop loves to just give that license to almost anybody. So we have so many 4K games out there, but a lot of them are kind of just meh.
Yeah, this is Henry Cavill intensifies right now. And for those who don't know, Henry Cavill has been trying to bring a Warhammer series to Amazon for the better part of 5 to 6 years. It got officially announced that it was going to happen, and it's been meeting some development issues in the meantime. One thing that we've seen, this could also revitalize interest in that if we do see this be successful, and my assumption is that it will be. But let's say it hits like a Helldivers 2, where it's everything that everybody's talking about at one point. That's only going to drive that ability to want to create that series even more, and Amazon will especially after they've seen the success of Fallout, and when you get people who are passionate about, making a great show, which I know Henry Cavill is, and obviously he's one of those people who's also extremely faithful to the original source as well. RIP to our original Geralt of Rivia. This is kind of a match made in heaven. So hopefully good things on the way. We'll obviously have to wait and kind of see. But on some not great news, everybody has taken turns just absolutely dunking on the Borderlands movie this last week, and apparently for good
Didn't
reason.
see this coming at all. I don't even fucking play Borderlands, and you could just tell this was going to be ass.
You know what? It's so funny because it looks like a studio executive watched a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy and said, I can do that. Let me make a movie with a bunch of misfit outcasts that are really colorful. Let's put them in a colorful
world. And it's not like the cast is bad. That's a good cast. It's just bad casting choices.
Yeah, it's pretty stacked. Like you've got
Kate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, fucking Jack Black, Kevin Hart. You've got the girl. I'm spacing her name right now, but she plays young Ahsoka. She plays young Gamora. She's
young Gamora.
Barbie.
Yeah, like she is in a ton of stuff, and this is just apparently
Cheeks,
Eli
boy.
Roth.
Cheeks.
Yeah, apparently Eli Roth just absolutely fucking butchered this movie.
Is that who directed it?
Yes,
that's not a surprise. He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Writers were taking their names off the movie now because of how badly it was modified or changed.
It premiered with a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is hard. It's like the worst. Like Avatar, the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar didn't even premiere with a 0%. I've never even seen it. I've heard it's like the worst movie they've ever seen.
Don't do it to yourself, please.
I was in basic training when it came out, and I was really stoked, because I was a big M. Night fan at that time. I mean, I still enjoy his movies. I feel like I'm one of the only people. But
how was Trap? I need to see that.
I actually went and saw it today. It was fine. It wasn't a bad movie.
It wasn't one of his bullshit twists.
So
he gives great. Look, he always has a great premise.
I don't think there really is a twist for this one.
There really wasn't any twist at all.
They kind of should have just kept the whole twist about him being a serial killer out
honestly,
of the trailers.
If they would have just kept it under wraps, it probably would have been a little bit more interesting. But I have also loved this renaissance from Josh Hartnett, coming back into the limelight after just disappearing from Hollywood.
Lucky Number 7 is one of my favorite movies, bro. It's so slept on.
So yeah,
y'all just looking at me crazy. Y'all even know Lucky Number 7?
I do know Lucky Number 7.
Can't say okay. I do.
Oh, you fucking up, Dash. That's great.
I'm very uncultured, so
it's got a knockout cast too. It's Josh Hartnett, Lucy Liu, Bruce Willis, Ben Kingsley, Morgan Freeman, Stanley Tucci. That's all I can think of. Oh, it's got the guy who plays Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man in it too, with a small role.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Main character from The Strain, which The Strain was good, except that it had the worst child actor in TV history.
Man, I watched all of that this year too.
It was a solid show without the second.
It starts off really good.
The kid fucking unbearable.
I felt like it really drops off near the end, honestly, especially the last season.
Unfortunately, that's just kind of the norm.
Shout out to Game of Thrones. Shout out to Umbrella.
I was gonna say, dude, I knew it was coming.
Umbrella Academy season 4. Dog water. It's ass.
I don't know why they these studios always insist on cutting the number of episodes, because this season was only 6, and
it's 2 years to produce it. I don't know.
And I've heard
there's money laundering is what it is. It's got to be just fucking money laundering.
Especially what Warner Brothers is doing is money laundering.
Okay, we could do a whole episode on fucking Warner Brothers. David Zaslav is the devil.
You saw that they're trying to sell off some of their gaming IPs, huh?
I hope they do.
Yeah,
I would love to see someone else
sell off the Shadow of Mordor series, and let's get a third one.
Yeah, let's get Rocksteady.
Doesn't even need to have Italian.
Yeah, let's get Rocksteady out of there. Let's get I want to see these talented teams be utilized, and obviously they've got games in the works right now, not necessarily new Arkham or Shadow of Mordor game, but obviously the Wonder Woman game is coming out. That's kind of, I feel like, the next big thing. So maybe they're waiting for that first to help drive up the price before they officially kind of move forward with some of that stuff. But
hopefully it's better than the movies, because those fucking Wonder Woman movies suck.
The first one was
solid,
was good,
solid.
And then the second one,
I got like a half hour into 84 in. Click.
The second one just, like, I don't know what it was. It was one of those COVID movies, man. It just, like, I don't know. Just tried too much to build off of the hype of the first one.
You can't give me that excuse. Top Gun Maverick was a COVID movie. It might have came out after COVID, but it was filmed peak COVID, and it fucking banged.
A 30-year sequel that just absolutely delivered and exceeded every expectation.
And Tom Cruise is just out here doing crazy stunts to hand off the Olympic torch.
He's just he's gonna die doing these movies at some point. Like, I'm pretty sure that's just how he wants to go out.
Maybe Scientology's on the right track, because this dude just seems to have a death switch, and he won't die.
I am not endorsing that message whatsoever.
Maybe they're right, okay?
He's out of line, but he's right.
L. Ron Hubbard, it was our only savior. Who would have known? It's not Uncle Baby Billy. I started rewatching that the last couple of days. God damn it.
Funyuns.
Yeah.
We got fucking Wagyu meat, and she's talking about getting one of the Funyuns.
I know $100 a month sounds like a lot, but after I pay my researchers, lab coats, it's a wash.
Then why you do it, Uncle Baby Billy?
Why?
Because I'm selfless.
Because I'm selfless. It's just such a good fucking show.
Just a perfectly curated character as well.
Goggins, dude. Charisma personified.
So, also, in non-shitty news, we got a little snippet from The Witcher 4. So, we really don't know much about this new Witcher entry, except it's going to be the first game in a new trilogy, so Witcher 4, 5, 6. And we know that it's going to introduce a new school of The Witcher, the Lynx, which that's literally all I need to know, and I could just not see anything or know anything until this game comes out. It would still be a day one buy for me. I'll still play it.
I guess you could say that school has been missing.
CDPR said, hang on, G, we got one more thing for you. Gave me the old Billy Mays treatment. Well, they came out. They let us know our good friend, Doug Cockle, is going to be returning as Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher 4. Not as necessarily the main playable character, but as a side character, he will be an NPC. I love this. I love that Geralt continues to be a part of this world. I wonder, like, is he going to be? So we have to be at some point, or is this going to be Kaer Morhen and he's training a new, breed of Witchers with Ciri? Because obviously there's a few different endings you can get in The Witcher 3. I like to think that the Ciri becoming a Witcher ending is canon. I don't know if they've ever publicly said one way or another.
I feel like they have to choose a canon ending with Witcher 4 also.
Yeah, so there would have to be something. The Witcher games do it really well, where they always have some kind of interview or something at the beginning of Witcher 2 and 3, and you get to go in and choose what you decided to do in Witcher 1 and Witcher 2. I thought that's a really cool way to kind of transition yourself, because then if you hadn't played those games, you still got to choose a canon ending and what you felt like was the best choice. So,
I had Ciri become Empress. It was awesome.
Oh, you bastard. She's a Witcher. She has to become a Witcher.
No, dude, she's destined for far greater things than being a Witcher.
So,
the child of the other blood. You fucking rube. You rube.
So, Geralt is coming back. We're fucking hyped. Let's fucking go, bitch. In the name, or in the wise words of our boy Wolf.
That boy Wolf, baby.
So, with our last bit of news here, one thing that we wanted to go ahead and touch on, obviously we have a ton of fun when we start getting to do more and more, whether it be Game Awards, whether it be Summer Game Fest. Well, our next one is coming, and it's opening night live for Gamescom, also hosted by the ever faithful Jeff Keighley. They've already officially announced a few games that are going to be there. some of which are very, this is exactly what you'd expect. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Monster Hunter Wilds, Marvel Rivals, which obviously Eric talked about over the last few episodes, Dune Awakening, which is a game I am very, very interested in. Indiana, yeah.
Yeah. I can't lie to you. I had Gamescom up and I fucking clicked off on my browser and shut the whole thing off, not paying attention. I forget that we do this over browser. I was like, oh fuck, that makes me look like a dickhead.
So Civ 7? Yeah, because 6 was the most recent one.
I really
Indiana
look forward to seeing
Jones.
how they reinvent the genre there, because they always do something different.
Exactly. And there are going to be new game announcements. So let's go ahead. We usually do this with some of our previews. Anything that you guys think may get shown during opening night live. This is really
like new game announcement.
Let's say new game. It could be a new game in a series, but we're just talking about something that hasn't quite been officially announced.
I'm wrong until I'm right. Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see that new Santa Monica IP that they keep talking about. Something that allegedly going to be like some sort of sci-fi RPG kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Marathon from Bungie. Maybe a little Marathon.
Corey Barlog's new game.
Apparently internal discussion about Marathon has been concerning.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
We'll have to wait and see on that. But I don't necessarily think... I mean, it's a game they have already shown. I'd love to see actual gameplay of it and see kind of what the plan is. I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think they're going to
show it until they feel like it's ready, though, because if what's been rumored so far is they're not impressed with what they've seen, they're not going to probably show it until... But they need some wins, too, because they've been canceling Last of Us factions. You just had the major layoffs in Bungie.
Bungie, yeah. I mean, and that's literally the company that makes Marathon. So I'm going to go out on a limb. Here's a game that we know is coming at some point because of data mining and leaks. But I think it's going to officially get announced. I'm going to go FF9 Remake officially being announced. And I should preface this by saying this is not going to be like to the extent of FF7. This is going to be a upscaled, graphically, probably quite a bit game. And I don't know if they're going to be adding voice acting or anything like that. I don't believe so. But it just not really going to be changing the gameplay all that much, which, I mean, most people don't really have a problem with the gameplay of 9. If they wanted to change trance, I wouldn't be upset if they wanted to do that for Zidane. But FF9 is going to be my go-to. So we've got Ghost of Tsushima 2, FF9, got Marathon.
Look, Resident Evil 9.
It's a solid. I mean, we know it's in the works. But if they wanted to just show, Jill and Leon as what's been, heavily teased, you'll sell everybody on the game. So literally could be about fucking, and you could put dinosaurs. I mean, I need to temper myself a little bit here because we're getting into Dino Crisis territory. It is going to happen at some point. And I do think it'll be announced before the end of the PS5 life cycle. That's my one I'll stand on. But
I think we're going to get like Little Nightmares 3 because the studio that makes that game just put out a teaser. It's like creepy, bloated pig with guts hanging out of it, walking by. It just said like new horror game coming. So
hell yeah. One other game that we saw a teaser for it and then literally heard nothing ever after. The Blade Runner game coming from Annapurna, which that's such a cool, unique IP, and I think that it's one that will work so well in gaming, especially just like if you make like a detective style game in that. Oh, that rustles my jimmies. But yeah, some really good guesses in there. Obviously, we've got Gamescom is coming up in... I don't know do you guys know how long it's going to be when it comes out?
I mean, it's over a couple days, so I'd say I
I
mean,
wonder
yeah,
if we get any showings of I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the
it
name of the
goes.
company. Exodus by Archetype Entertainment. It's
Ooh.
the guy who wrote Mass Effect. Drew
Yeah.
Karpyshyn is one of the main writers for that
Hell
company.
yeah.
I wonder if we get any shots of them because I think all we got was a little teaser at the
Yeah.
Game Awards last year.
Ooh, that would be super dope. And Gamescom is going to be
Next week.
Opening night live
Wednesday.
is on the 20th, and then the 21st to the 25th is Gamescom itself, which is a whole kind of like E3 style conference. So stay tuned. Obviously, we'll be talking next week. Hopefully, maybe some of our stuff is correct, maybe not. But obviously, we'll recap it either way. You guys have anything else you wanted to dive into?
Let's do a YouTube live.
Hey,
We should do a live show at some point.
Let's
I
do a
feel
live
like.
show during the Gamescom.
That would actually be a lot of fun, just depending on when it's scheduled. Because sometimes they'll do it at night in Germany, and that's like 2:00 for us. So
Fuck yeah,
just
I'll wake
depends
up
on the
and-
day.
I work from
Fuck.
home, so fuck it. Who cares? I do a lot as it is. I don't think anybody I work with is watching this, so hopefully, but we'll see. They won't switch.
I work from home and I work during the day, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
We'll have to wait and see. If not, we are gonna try and make it a priority to do some more live things with some of the audience, so that you guys can be able to go ahead and interact with us. We can get some input from you guys, and as always, we definitely appreciate you guys listening, checking out the show. Thanks so much, and we will catch you guys next time.
Love
Have
y'all.
a good one.